I watched the film earlier today. I thought you were both excellent in it. It was pretty intense stuff, though.
It's not a morning film.
No. Oh no, it's weird. I actually quite like watching really like intense films in the morning. I think that's when I'm at my most engaged, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
that's good.
It's the adrenaline going.
Yeah, exactly. I'm gonna begin. I wanted to ask first because it's such a great debut for Is it Azzy? Is it Azzy or Arzi? Yeah,
Azzy.
Azzy. And I just wondered for you both, what's the kind of main reference point when you work with a debut filmmaker? Because if you get like, I don't know, Scorsese approaches you, you go, well, I know Scorsese's work, but when it's someone without that kind of back catalogue to impress you with, what then helps you? So what helps inspire the decision to get involved?
Well, I met with Azzy. That was the first person I'd met read the film, and so we met in person and we sat down for hours and geeked out over films, and he explained his plan visually, and I could tell from the get-go that he was a real actor's director, and that we kind of worked similarly, so I had full faith and confidence in him. So from the start, you can tell that he's was a natural talent,
Yeah,
I agree with Maya. When I first met with Azzy, he came with like a full deck of visual language and just his inspirations, and it really matched with what the writer Keith Carville had brought when I was reading it. So when that initial meeting happened, it just clicked. And then meeting Maya, then it just made sense.
Yeah, because I mean, obviously the characters share this kind of quite destructive, very intense relationship. So I just wanted to know about like your rehearsals. How did you guys go about creating that bond so quickly? Did you have a kind of rehearsal period, or actually can it help sometimes to just be thrown in sort of on a whim?
We spent twice as long rehearsing the film as we did shooting it. We shot the film in 3 weeks. So like 21 shooting days, and I think we had about 6 weeks, a couple months of rehearsal time beforehand, with Azzy, sometimes with Keith the writer, and so we knew that we had to make that relationship really authentic. There had to be a lot of trust on the day because of the volatile nature of a lot of the emotional scenes, and also the intimate scenes too. So we had plenty of time to get to know all the nooks and crannies.
Yeah, it was really important for me to have rehearsal time as well, as because I love getting involved with how different people's methods match up. That's one of my favorite parts of acting. Because I don't want to impede anything of what I'm doing with what she's doing, or anyone that is in the cast. And so when we meet together with what we're trying to do, it's really fun. Instead of just showing up on the day, we're trying to figure it out. We just kind of walk in there with, how Maya said, trust and understanding with what the objective is.
Yeah, so Maya, for example, when you have characters like this that are so intensely kind of entwined, and you have to share that experience with the other actor during the process, do you think it kind of creates a bond that lasts forever? Because I always wonder, if you guys see each other at an awards ceremony or on another project, there'll be that kind of unspoken feeling of sharing something quite unique, I suppose.
So absolutely, yeah. I think the trust that was built in that rehearsal period and then filming, between me and Joey and Azzy and Keith and everyone involved on set, honestly, we are still all really close. Joey's like a brother to me now. Of course, we had to kind of shift our dynamic a little bit. I'm not Tessa, he's not Nick. But yeah, no, we're super close now. I see Joey every other day, basically. So yeah, no, it's very intimate filmmaking, especially the way that we did it, so yeah, super close.
Yeah. And Joey, how is it kind of watching a project like this back? Because these are characters you had to give so much of you had to just completely give yourself to a character like this. Is it quite hard to watch it back in some ways? Is it even more so than some other projects, yeah?
Well, I was in an interesting position because I also edited the film with Azzy.
Oh wow. Oh cool.
So I had a big background in editing, and Keith, who the writer who also produced it, knew that. So when I met with Azzy, who is also a pretty prolific editor, we were like kind of thought this is going to be a really cool dynamic. So there was just rules I always set up when I edited. It was always I was editing Nick, not Joey. So there was a cool wall. But after a while, it's just like you're shedding all these different emotions and things. And then obviously just letting go of such an intense connection. But I mean, it's really fun. Like I have fun. You play, it's not like, it's a little more intense than dress up, but it's like, I tell Maya, we go to work, we put on that costume, like we're there to have fun.
Yeah.
Even though it is really intense sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah. So as an editor, not only did you watch it back, you watched it back a lot.
Yeah. People are like, are you so excited for the film to come out? I was like, I'm very excited, but I've seen a lot of it.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask, because I mean, the film does require a lot from both of you. And I wanted to ask about the intimacy sort of aspects and the coaching, because I know, I just wondered if you guys had that on this project, because I saw there's a British actor, Sean Bean, the other day said he felt you lose spontaneity when you have intimacy coaching. And then West Side Story actress Rachel Zegler since came out and said that it's essential in maintaining a safe working environment. I just wondered how the experience was for you both on this project.
I think that's where the rehearsals came into play. I have a picture of Azzy straddling Joey on my phone. They kind of would I guess enact it or block it out together with me watching. So we kept it light and fun. So yeah, but I mean, the intimacy coordinator, it's interesting. Everyone has a really different opinion on that. Some people love it, some people don't. I've worked both ways. I'm pretty comfortable if I trust everyone on set, which I'm lucky I always have. I'm pretty comfortable with it. If you have trust with your crew and they lock the set down and there's a general awareness. This set in particular was very aware and cautious of that. It was also a skeleton crew, so it was a lot smaller of a crew, but yeah, I don't know, Joey, what do you think?
I mean, I think the first goal was to make sure that Maya was as comfortable as possible, like going into those things. And then, then we need to both be comfortable to perform like what is needed of the scene. And I think through those rehearsals and we got to know our personalities, and Azzy he is so funny and so charismatic all the time. And even the way he directed them, and it's cool, actually, the DP, Peter Mosman, I grew up with him on the same street. So it's kind of like I knew him for a very long time, and then Maya knew I knew him. And so it was cool. They would just kind of like dance with us in those scenes, and they would just kind of go off our comfortability. Always felt safe.
Always.
And Miles, I'm interested in sort of at the moment your sort of career choices, because I've always thought this of like Robert Pattinson as well. But when you come from a background in quite accessible teen and family productions, can it ever be harder to break free and do your own thing, to make decisions where you can't take some of your fan base with you, like bold projects, a bit like No Way Out? Does that ever play on your mind, or do you think it's quite important not to think about what the fans want and just what you want?
I think I've always just approached it as thinking about what I want to do. We filmed a film 3 years ago, Joe, maybe. And so at that time I was really craving doing something that felt really challenging, a character that I hadn't tackled. And so when I'm looking at next moves or next projects, I'm kind of reading with just, and just gauging what's exciting to me as I'm reading. So that's where this film came into play. I was really excited by Tessa and her kind of nuances and the ambiguity of the character and the way in which and if once you see the movie, this will make sense, but the way that she will be quite polarizing for a lot of people. I don't know, it just intrigued me and felt like a challenge. So that's why I take most jobs is something that feels like it could be challenging.
And Joey, how are you with a camera? I know obviously your character's a bit of a dynamite with one, but is that something that you kind of have a passion for in real life?
Yeah, I think I've always, dabbled in it, but it definitely went up. When I was preparing, it was like every morning I would do my walk, kind of how Nick does in the movie. I'd go to my coffee shop, coffee, and then I would have a couple cigarettes. And before I start my day, I had to take 100 pictures. And so during the scenes in the movie, when I'm shooting, it's like I wanted to think like Nick. I want to make sure every setting was kind of exactly how it should be. So that was like a really fun thing. A hobby kind of became an obsession during the preparation.
I was going to ask if you guys, I mean, do you spend much time in LA? I don't know if you're both based there at the moment or if you're, but because I've been there before, and it does feel like everyone you meet is creative. Is that how you've always sort of found it when you've been there?
Kind of, yeah. I mean, yeah, Joey and I are in the same friendship group with a lot of creators, and yeah, it's kind of everywhere. It's this like amazing city that can feel so suffocating, but then also so inspiring in like the same moment.
It's massive and vast. But like I said, it's like we shot this movie with a kid I grew up down the street from me, and I hadn't seen him in basically years. And then this came back around into his like atmosphere, and but the city's just painted with people like that. My buddy Jeff Adler, who's in the movie, I can't really say who he is in the movie, but that was just from hanging out in LA. And then when this came about, I was like, dude, you'd be great for this movie. And then that's just kind of how it happened.
Yeah,
and I knew Azzy for like years, but then I didn't. The first conversation I really had with him was our first meeting. I'd seen peripherally. Like the city's pretty magical that way.
Yeah, because you mentioned Joey, that obviously you sort of this really helped enhance that passion for photography, playing this character. But have you got any? This is for both of you actually, but I'll start with you, Joey. But have you got any kind of aspirations and stuff to do stuff behind the lens? You know, I know you've done some editing here, but direct and produce sort of stuff from that side of the industry.
Yeah, for sure. When I started out, I was just kind of directing like really little tiny indies, just because I wanted to act and I wanted to learn how to edit. But yeah, in the future, for sure, I've been writing. I'm trying to make a kind of like a smaller indie feature, and then kind of move my way up, because everything leads back to acting. I kind of want to learn everything to help me become the best actor I can become. And there is, when you make these types of movies, you always learn, and I want to keep continuing to learn. I think that's how I want to evolve and put it into my own projects, learning from people such as Azzy or Maia or Keith. So yeah, for sure.
How about you, Maia?
Yeah, I think producing for me has always been something that I've been very intrigued by. I'm lucky enough I got to produce the show I was on for a few years, Good Trouble, which was a really great intro into that world. And then Joey and I both produced No Way Out as well, which was great. So we got to be a part of all of the kind of prep conversations, and obviously Joey cut the whole thing. So yeah, I think we both are definitely that way inclined, and it kind of made making this film so much fun as well, because we were all really kind of dialed into all of the aspects of the film.
Yeah, I always think that when you've had this, like you said, dialed into so many aspects, it must be hard to then go back and not have that say. Must be,
yeah.
But Maia, I was going to ask, because there's such, I mean, obviously, as you know, there's such a wonderful wealth of talent dotted all around the world from Australia in this industry. And I just wanted to ask about the kind of moving to the States and the UK to make productions, because obviously, as you said before, you're followed by great projects, you're followed by good stories. So you go where those great projects are. But is there ever an element of like wanting to remain on home soil and help with the Australian film industry? Because generally speaking, most great performers do tend to make the move abroad from Australia.
Yeah. So I just actually moved from LA back home a bit less than a year ago for that reason. So yeah, I've been looking at projects there. It's a competitive industry over there. It is. So just waiting for the right thing to make sense. But I had to come back to LA. I'm filming something here next month, so I'll be here for a little while. It's like as soon as you leave, LA keeps dragging you back. It's like a toxic relationship.
You could see how many brilliant talent have come out of Australia, but all the people that returned for that Neighbours finale. Did you watch that the other day?
I haven't watched it yet, but I'm devastated. I'm so upset about Neighbours.
Honestly, it just I cried my eyes out during it. I just find it really emotional. It's come to an end.
Because Neighbours is big in the UK, isn't it?
Yeah, it's huge.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. But I've only got time really just for one or two more questions. But Joey, I was going to ask you about sort of future projects. It's like you're in Tin Soldier, I was reading on. So
yes.
I just wondered, because I mean, there's obviously the cast is incredible. I mean, there's people like De Niro in there. I just wondered what it's like being on in shoots like that. Look, you're a professional actor. You've grown up. This is your craft. This is what you do. But when you walk past De Niro's in a scene with you, is it always that little feeling inside that just goes, shit, that's Robert De Niro?
Well, I'll tell you, the first day that he arrived on set, there was just like, you know, you can't explain it. It was just like my brain went to me discovering Taxi Driver in my basement when I was like 14, 16 years old. And then just like seeing him standing in front of you was pretty like kind of unbelievable. There's really no words. And then you just see him, you know, crafting what he's doing. And the thing that I really learned from him was Brad Furman, the director. He took De Niro took every note Brad threw at him. And so he wasn't afraid to be like, he did his thing and that. And I was like, oh, wow. I mean, like that will never stop. Like he knows that he doesn't have all the answers and he's willing to trust the director still. And something like that, I mean, he really can just walk in and do what he wants, but he's there to make the best film possible.
Yeah. I once asked him a question at a press conference, and even that I was like terrified.
Like Jamie's a totally different, like that guy. I mean, you just put a camera on, you talk to, you're like, yeah, it's amazing. I don't even know. It's amazing. So cool.
But I can't wait to see it. And thank you so much for your time today, guys. And best of luck with the release of No Way Out. I think it's a really great little project, and I hope as many people see it as possible.
Thank you.
Yes, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys.
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey You Guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey